Ritual crime. It is something that is not often spoken about, and many people would struggle to give an actual definition. Rituals can mostly be associated with religion, as it is one of the main contexts in which they are practiced. However, it is important to know that not all violent ritual acts are committed in the worship of religion. And so, when discussing the topic of ritual crime, it is important that we understand that it is not always related to religion. Ritual crime is often referred to as occult crimes, occult meaning supernatural or magical. Most ritual crimes are associated with occult ideologies such as voodoo or Satanism. I could argue that when we think of rituals, we mostly picture something negative and scary happening, as it is what is portrayed in most of the time in film and television. However, rituals can also include the simple shaking of hands and prayer. When looking at rituals, a functionalist view would argue that most rituals exist as a way of bringing social solidarity. We could see this with the act of shaking hands as a way of showing agreement and peace. A functionalism approach would understand ritual as a response to the social and physical environment. For Malinowski, he holds the idea that people have the body of empirical knowledge, which is comparable to modern scientific knowledge. This knowledge is then applied through practical manner to get the results they desire. In this case, it could be rituals. Their techniques are so powerful that the accomplishment of these results is a matter of certainty. A functionalist view tends to ignore the negative and have the belief that it is what's needed in order for society to function more effectively. However, Merton, who viewed rituals as meaningless routines, as unthinking activities, or as overly elaborated ceremonies accompanying certain kinds of political or religious practices. We can see this with the Manson family, as in a way they had a political motive. When trying to understand ritual crime, it can be understood as crime combined with systematic use of rituals or ceremonies. As with ritual crime, we can almost always see symbols being left behind at the crime scene. For some, it is shocking to see it happening in the 21st century, as it is associated with non-modern cultures. However, as we can see, this is false. As of present day, the non-traditional religions that entail occult practices such as voodoo are mostly categorized as satanic. Symbolism is fundamental to religious beliefs and images. We can see this with members of gangs and religious groups fighting and dying under emblems of colours that have symbolic significance. The act of permanently putting a symbol on the body gives the person a sense of belonging and identity. Symbols can be found in forms of tattoos or even carved on the victims, as we see later on with the Manson family. Behavior related to ritual satanic abuse often includes mutilation, severing, sawing off, twisting, or pulling off body parts, as seen with the case of the little boy Adam. 21st of October 2001, a torso of a young child was found in the River Thames. It was later discovered that the boy's name was Patrick. Detectives on the case believed that he was murdered as part of a ritual sacrifice.
Officers recover the body of a dark-skinned boy, around 5 years old, wearing only a pair of shorts. The child's arms, legs, and head are missing. To this day, they have not been found.
As we can see, the murder of Patrick had most likely been the result of a ritual, and his case holds many similarities to what is considered to be a ritual crime, such as the mutilation of body parts. 1967, not long after being released from prison, Charles Manson began to attract a group of followers who were mostly young women. He soon created the Manson family, which went on to commit gruesome ritualistic murders. To refer to his up-and-coming race war that Manson was determined was going to happen, he adopted the term helter-skelter. And so, in order to start this race war, Manson had ordered his cult to murder white people, which ended with the murder of Sharon Tate and her friends. Manson had ordered the others to be as gruesome as they could when doing the killings.
In a scene described by one investigator as reminiscent of a weird religious rite, 5 persons, including actress Sharon Tate, were found dead at the home of Miss Tate and her husband, screen director Roman Polanski. Miss Tate, who starred in Valley of the Dolls, was 8 months pregnant and was found in a bikini-type nightgown with a rope around her neck attached to the body of a man.
Further questioning, inasmuch as he was here on the premises during the evening. That is about what we have at this time in the preliminary investigation. This we don't know because the bodies will have to be made an examination by the coroner to determine the cause of death.
There's no evident cause of death in there?
Not that we can say at this time.
Is there anything scrawled on the front door of that house in blood?
I can't answer that question.
Where were the bodies found? All in one room?
No. 2 of the bodies were found inside the house, 1 in the vehicle, and 2 on the front lawn.
Were there any hangings?
Not that we can determine at this time.
Was there a body covered by a hood with a rope around its neck?
These are things that I can't give you too much information on at this time until the scientific investigation personnel make their full
Was there any
evaluation.
evidence of drugs there anywhere?
Not that I saw any drugs at all.
Did any neighbors report any noise, Lieutenant?
I'm sorry.
Did any neighbors report any noise in the area, any shots or things of that nature?
The neighborhood is being canvassed at this time. We do not have a report back.
Was there a party or what was going on last night?
Sharon Tate and her friends were murdered just after midnight, and their bodies were found the next morning by Tate's housekeeper. The body of Tate was found with a rope tied around her neck, along with one of her friends connecting them. 2 more bodies lay on the front lawn, with 1 in a car shot dead. All of the victims were stabbed numerous times. Tate was found with a missing breast, similar to the dismembering of bodies during ritual acts. The house where the crime took place was left covered in blood, and on Tate's stomach was left an X carved into her flesh, linking to the symbolism of the ritual. The word war was carved into another victim's stomach. Left at the crime scene were phrases death to pigs, rise, and helter skelter written in the victim's blood. It is clear that for the Manson family, leaving symbols was significant, as it can be seen with the other murders that they had committed. At the time, the Manson family were on a lot of drugs, and so this had an obvious contribution. However, many of these individuals were people who felt lost in society and were easily targeted by Manson. Built-up rage at society may have led to a large contribution to being able to commit such horrible acts. The neurologist Sigmund Freud had suggested that ritual behavior and obsessive behavior arise from the repression of instinctual impulses or threatening wishes. According to Volney-Gay, while Freud points out a number of similarities between the 2 forms of behavior, he cannot describe ritual behavior as neurotic. However, according to Gay, he acknowledges that religious phenomena, particularly ritual, may be an important anti-instinctual mechanism, but they are produced by the psychological mechanism of suppression, which involved the full consciousness of the denied wish and produce no neurotic guilt or anxiety. We can possibly see this with the Manson family and in particular Charles. In interviews after the murders, Charles showed no form of guilt or regret.
The conversation lasted an hour and a half, during which Manson was sometimes lucid, sometimes incoherent, and frequently manipulative. From your words, as Mr. Emmons quotes them in this book, it's clear that you were guilty of murder, and yet he says in all his conversations with you, he never heard you express remorse. Have you never felt it?
Remorse for what? You people have done everything in the world to me. Doesn't that give me equal right? I can do anything I want to you people at any time I want to, because that's what you've done to me. If you spit in my face and smack me in the mouth and throw me in solitary confinement for nothing, what do you think's gonna happen when I get out of here? Guilty. I wouldn't do anything that I felt guilty about.
It is safe to say that at this time, the Manson family murders profoundly shook America's perception of itself. The murders that have taken place have been portrayed in many movies and talked about in numerous documentaries. The reason for this may be because, as people, we are drawn to these types of transgressive acts that we do not see on a day-to-day basis. And so this results in the television and film industry that are able to take advantage of this and are able to capitalize off of it.